family and friends. Hope everybody's doing well. I'm here with my wooden spoon and my Aperol Spritz in lovely St. Albans, Vermont, visiting my brother. So we're in Michael's kitchen today, and Mike's behind the camera. Hi, Mike. How you doing, everybody? Hope you're all doing well, like I said. Today we're going to do a legacy gem from our family. I'm here with Mike, so it's real appropriate that we're going to make this sort of together, and he's going to learn with me today along with all of you. We are making Chicken Cacciatore. Now, there are lots of different versions of Chicken Cacciatore that you can find online. This is my or our family's version of Chicken Cacciatore. It's very simple, and I've got all the ingredients here, so we're going to go through that, and then we'll take you through the steps and make ourselves a nice batch of a classic that our family loved to do. So obviously we have chicken. I've got about 3 to 4 pounds of breasts and thighs here. You can use any kind of chicken that you like. I've got some onions. You can use, again, any kind of onion you like, a white onion. These happen to be sweet onions. They're Vidalia onions. I like to use that. They give it a good flavor. We've got some olive oil that we're going to use in the pot here. Some tomato puree, some tomato sauce. We've got salt and pepper, obviously, and some oregano. And then we've got some cut up golden Yukon Gold potatoes here that have already been sliced up. That's my cake in the oven, so let me turn that off. I'll get that up. There it is. All right, we're gonna have to take that out in a minute. We're busy today in the kitchen up here in Vermont. And then we have some button mushrooms in a can. Now, everybody's gonna say, ew, button mushrooms in a can. They're good in Chicken Cacciatore.
It's the best part of Chicken Cacciatore.
For our family's version. So, for all you foodies out there, you can use fresh, whole mushrooms and put in whatever kind of mushrooms that you want. We usually put them in at the end. So, let me put this down, and we're gonna get started with just the first process, but it's part of the process, but it's most important, and that is the onions. So I'm just gonna, the legacy gem, remember, no written recipe. So we're gonna put a couple tablespoons of olive oil in the bottom of a nice large pan, because you've got a lot going in here. You've got about 3 pounds of meat and 3 pounds of potatoes. So you want a nice sized pan, and you want to get your heat on about medium heat. And then you're gonna I've taken these onions and cut the onions in half and then slice them thin. So we're gonna get all the onions in this pot and break them up and stir them around. And then we're gonna take the time to saute these in the pan until they're really nice, dark, golden brown. And I mean really dark. And we'll show you what this looks like when it's done with the onions. But that's going to give the gravy that's in with the chicken tons and tons of flavor. So it's important that you take the time to make sure that these onions are nice and golden brown, and they'll be soft, really soft and really dark color. And then we're going to move on to the other steps. So, like I said, I've got 2 onions here. 2 medium-sized onions, I guess, on my nice wooden spoon, and just give them a stir, and we'll come on in and just zoom in on what they're looking like now. And just a pot of onions, and then we will come back when these onions are nice and golden brown. We'll show you what they look like, and we'll move on to the next steps of our delicious Chicken Cacciatore. All right, so we have been browning our onions here, and they're starting to get brown. And also, you see they're much reduced down, and you see the nice brown bits forming on the bottom. And they're going to go ahead and get even browner as we go on to our next step, which is the chicken. So in with the pot with the onions, we're going to take our pieces of chicken and we're going to put them in. And you should hear them sizzle when they hit because that pan's hot. We're going to put them in and we're going to brown them on both sides. So you don't want to crowd the pan. you just want to maybe put 3 or 4 pieces in at a time and move your onions sort of out of the way and make room for your chicken. I got 4 thighs here, so I think that 4 thighs will probably fit. And you can see I've got them nestled down in there. No salt, no pepper at this point. I did put a little bit of salt and pepper in with the onions. The salt kind of helps draw the liquid out of the onions and lets them, caramelize a little bit faster. So you can do that if you'd like to. And that's it. So let them sit a couple minutes till they're nice and brown on one side. Turn them over and then take them out of the pot. Finish the rest of your chicken. Brown it all up, and I'll see you when that's done for the next step. So let's take a look at our first batch of brown chicken. And you can see that everything's getting a lot darker in there, and the onions are really getting caramelized like I was talking about before. And the chicken is just lightly browned on either side. Keep that heat going, and then we're going to take that chicken out and put in our next batch. But this is how it should look, nice and golden. All right, so we've got all of our chicken browned, and I'm putting it all back in the pot. Make sure you get all those juices that have collected in the pan, whatever you're keeping the chicken on while it's resting, while you're sauteing all the pieces. And by this time, the bottom of that pan is nice and brown, really brown and crusty, and you can see, right? So you gotta, when you start to see that, you don't want to really have it burn. So now it's time to get everything back in there and put in our tomatoes. So I'm going to put in 1 can of puree. That gives it some backbone and some thickness. When my mom used to make this, she told me she only used tomato sauce and water. She'd wash out the cans, put it all in there. This is, what it's like to do a legacy gem, because that's what she did. I don't know, whenever I did it, it turned out watery. I didn't like it at all. And then when you were eating it, it would separate. So I started to use puree, and be careful with the liquid that you add, and that will save you from having a watery cacciatore. But so there goes the puree. And now I'm going to put another, these are, what are these, 28-ounce cans? Yeah, 29, 28-ounce cans, whatever you have. You have your own homemade tomato sauce to use for this. God bless you. You can use that. But I'm going to throw in now tomato sauce. Now's when you have to look at what we got in here and decide if you want to put water in or not. And this is looking thick to me, right? There's certainly enough room in this pan, right? And you're going to move things around. You're going to scrape up all those good, delicious bits from the bottom as this starts to cook. But this is obviously, you can see this is too thick. So we're going to put a little water. I'm just going to go over here. Mike's got a great kitchen, by the way. I really like it. It's very convenient. I'm just going to run it through my 2 cans here real quick. And put some water in here. I think I even want some more water. Just enough to thin it down a little bit. What's that? Like maybe 3/4 of a cup of water? Because what has to happen next is this has to come up to a simmer. And so it's got to be liquid enough to be able to come up to a simmer. And it's going to simmer for half an hour or so until all the chicken is cooked. Now, I also drained these mushroom cans, and I've got the liquid in here. I'm going to put a little of that in because this is flavor. Again, if you don't like the canned mushrooms, don't do it. But I am going to put a little bit of this in, and obviously because these are cooked, the actual mushrooms themselves are going to go in at the end of the cooking process, just so we can get them rummaged through.
Is it the same consistency as spaghetti sauce?
I would say, yeah, that's a great question. For my tomato sauce, my gravy, yeah, I think so, because I don't make a really loose gravy. And again, you keep playing with this too. As this starts to cook down, if you think it needs a little bit more
Okay.
water, you can definitely add it. And yeah, I think this is even probably needs just a smidge more. So let's just say you give it a cup of water. So I guess Mom was right. You do need some water, but if you just start without the puree and a basic, you put that much water with just plain tomato sauce.
You could always add more water. You just don't
Can't
want to
take
put
it
too
away.
many in, right?
Yep. All right. Now, if you like, while this is cooking, coming up to the simmer, you can add your oregano. I put a handful of oregano. I don't have a measurement. Put the palm of your hand out and throw it in. If you don't like oregano, don't put it in. If you like basil, you'd rather do basil, you can do that. But classically, what our family always used was the oregano. So now that dried oregano is going to go in there and cook with that chicken. So at this point, this whole way we've been no cover because we don't want to sweat the chicken, right? We want to actually brown the onions and the chicken. But now that we've got this all in and it's ready to cook that chicken, Michael's gonna get me a lid. We're gonna put a lid on this pot. We're gonna bring it up to a simmer. We're gonna let it go for about half an hour. We'll look at that chicken and then we'll go on to the next step, which is to take the chicken off the bone and put it back into the gravy. And then from there, we're gonna do potatoes and let them cook. Mushrooms will go in at the end and we'll have cacciatore. So we'll see you in about half an hour once that chicken is cooked through.
Hi, Max.
Hi, Max. Hi, everybody. So we have simmered our chicken now for about a half an hour, 35 minutes. We had some pretty big pieces, big breasts on there, so I want to make sure they got cooked through. But you can see how nice that gravy's looking. And this is the part that stinks about cacciatore, right, Mike?
Yes.
You have to
It's
take.
damn hot.
It's hot, and you got to take the chicken off the bone now. So that's the process we're going through. We're going to take all of this chicken off the bone and get it then back in the gravy once it's boneless. So
That's it.
I'm glad Mike's doing this and not me. So we'll see you when that's accomplished. All right, the hard work is done. We got all of the chicken shredded and back into the gravy. It's looking really good. So the next step of cacciatore in our house is the potatoes. So like I said, we just clean them and cut them into like bite-sized pieces. There's about 3 pounds of potatoes here. You can, put as many potatoes as you like or as if you don't like, but it's, we like, good ratio of potatoes. So we're going to put them in. And now they obviously have to cook. So, they're not that big. It's not going to take that long to get them up to temperature and mix them in. And we'll let them simmer now for about 15-20 minutes. Test them with a fork. When they are done, we'll add the mushrooms into the pan and we will get out our crusty bread and we'll be eating cacciatore. So, see you in a bit. All right, our potatoes have simmered now for about 20 minutes. They're nice and fork tender. Just check them with a fork. You don't want to overcook them. And we have added the mushrooms. Like I said, at the end, they're in there now. So we are pretty much ready to serve this. We're gonna serve it in bowls today with some nice Italian bread. Here, slice that up for dipping into the gravy, and we're gonna have ourselves a good old time. So, from Michael's kitchen today, St. Albans, Vermont, from my recipe box to yours, Chicken Cacciatore. Take care, everybody. Enjoy, be well, love you.